I have good hair. Very good hair. I have good hair. All right. Well, I'm going to take my jacket off. Valkyrie, there is no stream today. None. No stream today. It's all fake. Don't tell Chris. Don't tell Chris, but I wanted to paint some. Don't tell him. It'll be fine. Right? It'll be fine, chat. Fine. I was sitting at home. I've been at home all day because we had the meeting today, the leadership team meeting happened at Jen and I's house. And so I was like, well, what if I go paint? I was like, I want to go paint. Right? Because I don't get to paint tomorrow. Dallas is on stream, and I don't get to paint. Chris told me I don't get to do anything. So I want to do stuff, so I'm here. And you can't stop me. You can't stop me now. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da. Where did he put all my paint? Why does he do this to me? That's good. This I don't need. Yes, yes. No. This man. Yes, yes, no. Yes. He's just making decisions. He's just over here doing Christopher things. He didn't care. He didn't care about me. I don't need these. He didn't care about me. Don't tell him we're here, though. He is not the boss of me. And he's not here. Do I have a license to stream this late? Shh. Wait a minute. You're not trying to turn me in, are you? Trying to snipe your watch streak? Yes. That was my plan all along. I'm just testing. I'm testing chat to see how many people are up this late across the globe. Craig Sean says it's 2 a.m. here. It must be late for you guys. It's 6:45. 6:45, right? You must be in France. Brent, what's going on? Hello, everybody. Very informal. I want to paint stream, so we're going to paint. I'm painting. I want to paint. So I'm going to do it. You can't stop me. Yeah. So what? What are you going to do? Huh? Ha! Ho! Ha! You're like, oh my God, my streak. I'm just totally sniping your streak. That's what I do. That's what fuses do. I'm thinking orange. Orange? Do I mix some red? No. Just orange? Maybe some brown? Maybe some brown? Ooh, that could be nice. I don't know. We're going to mix some of these colors. Boom. If it isn't the lighting, it isn't even worth watching. Say what? Say, huh? It's bedtime. This is usually when you watch the recorded stream. Now it's live. Now you get it live. You're forced to deal with me. Jeff, what's going on? Hello, everybody. Welcome to whatever day today is in your part of the world. It might be Wednesday. It might still be Tuesday. Whatever it is, welcome. I'm going to use this because I'm a heathen and I don't care. We'll put some brown in there. Then I'm going to throw that away and get another one and do some orange and put some orange in there. Put a little bit more orange than brown and see what happens. I probably shouldn't have thrown that away, huh? What if I have to put more in? Now I'm screwed. I can still get out of the trash can. I'm a little delirious. I've been sitting in our leadership meeting for 2026 planning all day. I'm going to be honest with you. It was good, but it's a lot. A whole day. We got a good lunch, but that's a whole day. That's a whole crazy day. Not going to lie. That's kind of a good orange, right? It's kind of, well, I mean, it's like a burnt orange, right? That's going to be not quite enough orange, maybe. Let's put it on something and see. Let's put it on something and check. What say you, Chet? That's not really the color of the skull, but it's close. It'll give us a taste of what I would be looking at if I did this to our delectable dragon. I'm just jumping right in, chat. I'm not filling you in. There's no Chris here to say, Jason, catch us up on what it is you're doing. Nope. Just diving in, man. I'm just doing the thing. That's kind of cool, man. That's kind of cool. Not gonna lie. That's kind of neat. Is it orange enough or is that too brown? I mean, that's kind of cool. I think maybe it's too dark is the problem, right? So a little bit more orange and a little bit more water. You know? Horrible me. I just blended the things. Avalanche have entered the hockey chat. No. We don't allow Avalanche fans here. This is a decidedly Dallas Stars chat. Hey, we're not doing a touch of bronze. Painting by the hill, what's going on? May need to add some hot pink. Who the heck let you have a say? We don't do that here. This is Fuse After Hours. I don't have to be nice, right? I don't have to, there's no rules. It says so right on the door. Fuse After Hours. I don't have to be nice to you. That's kind of the same color too, huh? Oh, more water. This is a very rare occasion. I had a business meeting all day long from 8 to 4. Same business meeting, same people, 8 to 4. Chris was in it. Oh my God. I had to deal with Chris all day long. So Chris was in the meeting. Gabe, Chris, Kyle, Ellie, Jen, our leadership team. And So we had a meeting all day long, and we ended the meeting at just before 5, I think it wound up being. Oh, that's kind of nice. It gives it, like, it's a very dark, rusty, reddish orange because of the warm brown being in there, right? So that's actually really, really cool, huh? What do we think for the dragon's skin? That's pretty good, eh? That's a good dirty orange. I like that's dirty. Say it with me, chat. That's dirty. Happy birthday, Mr. President. That's pretty good, huh? I feel like I like that. I think I like that. Yeah, we're going for it. I don't care. Don't like it? Paint it again. Why you gotta say it like that? It's dirty. Spooky James, what's going on? Welcome, everybody. Hello. Hope your Tuesday night, Wednesday morning is going great. I'm breaking the rules. Nobody can stop me. I have no adult supervision. I don't know what's going to happen here tonight. I might make all sorts of mistakes. I might yell. I might scream. I might curse. It's going to be real. Whatever it is, it's going to be real. This is me. Uncensored. Raw. Let's put it somewhere where it doesn't, like, totally murder us. I mean, that's kind of like not true, right? It's going to, everywhere we put this, it's going to absolutely screw the pooch if it's not good. So we're just going for it. This is just, you know what, chat? Every now and then you got to just say, what the boop, and do it. Just do it, chat. Don't ask questions. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200, right? Just put the paint on the model. Just go for it. This is our super secret sauce paint. Some of you may have never seen it be used. Others of you have been here on the stream the last couple of times we've done this. A little bit of super secret sauce paint. Never hurt nobody. It'll make Chris Matty's not here for it. So we got that. We got that going for us, chat. Secret sauce would be a cool name. It's the secret sauce. After dark. Sexy time sauce. That's probably not a good name. Sorry. Sorry, chat. Sorry. Sexy time sauce, not a good name. I always have to lead in on these crazy no holds barred, no adult supervision streams that I have no producer, no guidance, no help. We've had some community members reach out and say they would be happy to help out when I do streams like this, but I never know when I'm going to do streams like this, so I don't know how to tell people. So I don't know how to plan. I'm a horrible planner. Nobody plans for the nobody expects the Inquisition. Awesome, Brent. You didn't know I was a purple orc. Looks like buffalo wing sauce. It does, right? It actually really does look like wing sauce, not gonna lie. I like it. I like it. I'm hoping that this kind of takes the place of some of our sins with not really covering all the airbrush areas. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I got to be careful. Slopping this in there is harder than doing the airbrushing in between the armor panels, not going to lie. This is a lot less forgiving because there's no overspray. There's just sloppy paint application. So I got to be careful here. Operation Don't Make the Nose Light Up. That's not how their advertisement goes, but it should be. The game of operation. Total skill. Don't make the nose light up. You've seen John Wick. The patient in operation is worse. Light the nose. Die. What if that was it? What if it was like the game of operation? What if you hit the sides, it electrocuted you? Like we should hook it up to like 480 volt or something, right? Like a bajillion amps of unforgiving power. That'd make that game fun again. I'm not going to lie. Jen and I found Operation at the game store over the weekend. And it never even crossed my mind that we should pick it up and engineer it to where it's hooked up to high amperage. Like Ren and Stimpy, don't whiz on the electric fence. Wasn't that the game? We do something like don't whiz on the electric fence with Operation. Now I'm in. Now I'm in. Now it's a party. Ball of Flame. I've seen this on a Japanese game show. Yeah, exactly. All right, we're just going for it, man. This is it. This is my life now. I've committed, chat. I should be committed, but I've committed. Chat, you should be very happy tonight. It should make you feel good that I chose you. I chose streaming over listening to my book. I have a very enjoyable book too, so I chose streaming rather than listening to a book while painting. So I need you to understand how important that is. How much I care for you. Chat. Super Bleeder, no, I don't like the heavy black lining on miniatures. It's not a style that I prefer. I have done comic book style painting without the black lining, right? So the heavy paneled colors and things like that we do, but I do not include the black lining. Not a style I like on miniatures because you can't do an outline. All you can do is internal lining, and it doesn't look right to me. I've done comic art in the past, so that's just one of those preference things that's built in, I think, that just doesn't feel right on the outcome. So I don't like that. But yes, I've done comic style painting. We show off like the Thanos model. If you've seen the little chibi Thanos I've done, I show that off and will teach that in ways to do blending without actually blending colors, right? So we're just doing all these scales. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to do with these scales. I'm trying to avoid the big ones on the back of the leg. I feel like those are kind of like claw colored. So I'm going to do claw colors, whatever that means. Black. maybe. Blackish claws. Plump Crunchy, what's going on? Tim, you're just keeping your streak alive. I never think about that stuff. I don't do this on purpose to you guys. So, sorry, Charlie. If there's people that are mad because I snuck in and ended their streak, I don't know what to tell them. Not my goal. I don't think about that kind of stuff. So, no bully. I just needed to paint tonight, man. It is good for the soul. So here I am. Hoping everybody is having a wonderful end to your Tuesday or beginning to your Wednesday, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for joining us. I don't know how long I'll be streaming. Jen asked, and I said, I don't know. I'm going to go paint. I might stream. Pray for me. That's what I said. I might go hang out alone with chat in the dark with no supervision. No chaperone. Lots of heavy petting. Double T, you thought your phone was messing up? Yeah, right. Surprise! It's a me. Oh no, always. Sorry to hear that. Fighting a migraine's gotta suck. I don't know what they are like. I don't get headaches very often unless I do something really wrong. But I hate them when I get them. But Jen gets migraines and it blows her apart. So I can only imagine how it can be distracting pain that keeps you from doing lots of things you want to do. Do not envy it, man. This is a good color. Good color. Works well. Does the job I like. You no longer have a sandwich, Wad. Who took your sandwich? Do we need to rally? And I know a guy. If you got a sandwich thief, I know a guy. If on the other hand you ate your sandwich and didn't offer any to chat, then we have a different kind of problem that I don't know if I can help you with. Your mouth stole your sandwich? You need to have a talk with that. Jones Cola is damn proud of the rocket bottle. $50 is nuts for a bottle of soda. I don't understand. Rocket bottle? Like the Nuka-Cola kind of thing? Photon, right? Yeah, these models are pretty cool. Pretty cool. No problemo with them so far. The plastics on the dwarf were a little rough. Not gonna lie. But once I got through it, I could see the end of the tunnel being not so bad for the rest of the units that I got to do with the dwarves. People have called out that particular unit for being exceptionally bad. the Fireborn, Fire Mag. I don't remember. Fireborn, Fire something, Fire. I don't know. I don't know. I went home last night and I listened to some lore about these guys and all the various factions just to learn more about the world building and conquest and stuff like that. There's some really trippy stuff. Like it's really cool. They have some good lore. They've spent good amount of time investing in the story and the legend of why and how and all that stuff. So it's really cool. A lot of really neat stuff. One of the factions I don't necessarily like the look of a whole lot. They're kind of cool. The Spires and are super trippy, and it turns out in the lore they're like aliens that came from outer space to this fantasy realm. So there's some really neat stuff like that. There's a lot of references to like cosmic travel in a fantasy environment, which I think is rad. So the dwarves were made by dragons to be slaves for the dragons. And there's some really neat lore in that when the slave rebellion of the dwarves happened. Not all the dwarves went. Some of them stayed with the dragons. So there was a big civil war amongst the dwarves, and half the dwarves called themselves the whatever these guys name or whatever these guys call themselves. And of course, the other half went off and the Dwegholm, they call themselves. And of course, the other half went off and died. The other dwarves went off and they died because the Dwegholm killed them. Yeah, that's how that happened. Which the models, especially the early models, weren't so chunky. Great factions and figs. Gameplay is really fun. Always yeah. It's it looks that way. I would agree. The old plastics were a little soft on the edges, which gave them a lack of definition and made them feel. You're saying chunky. That word resonates. They just didn't have crisp definition and tended to lose shape because of it. Right. But the new stuff is amazing. The first thing that drew my eye was the Japanese Yoroni. They're not Japanese, but they're called Yoroni. They're a faction. I don't know how their lore fits into the world of Conquest, but they're based off of Japanese mythology, and they have like the Yorogamo is the one I talk about, the big giant spider with the geisha on it, and amazing model. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's that from? And I was like, Conquest? What? It's like Conquest models don't look like that. And then I started looking, and their new stuff is fantastic. Some really neat art direction. I don't know if it's the same artist and art directors that did all the early stuff or not. Irrelevant, kind of. But it's really cool stuff. That and the Sorcerer Kings, I think it is. Sorcerer Kings are also really cool with the Eastern Indian stuff. So I've been having a blast with that. So I don't have those models yet. They should be here this week though. I just got a delivery notification or tracking information, I guess I should say, from Greece saying that they would be here via UPS on Thursday. So maybe I'll have more to start working on over the weekend and definitely over the holidays to have some fun with. But yeah, the older models are not as appealing, and the newer models and factions are, to me, personally. I'm using a very wet brush and blending the color out down here so that it doesn't have as much impact. So I get kind of a motion to a lighter version of the skin on the belly. I don't know how it's going to maintain, but feels pretty good so far. Saying the other day about how you might do, now I'm going to do metallics, I think. Tim, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to do metallics on this, on this army. The other armies I might do non-metallic on, but I'm not going to invest in this army to put non-metallics on it. The problem with me, and you know, I will just bitch about army painting. It's not about whether it's metallic or non-metallic. It's that I spend almost the same amount of time regardless of how I paint metallics, right? That's the issue. It isn't which of the methods I choose. It's that I'm a slow painter. And painting armies and getting to the trim part sucks for me. So, nobody to blame but myself. I am my own worst enemy with that. When I pick non-metallic metal, it just gives me something other than my bad life choices to bitch about. Or maybe it gives me my bad life choices to bitch about. Well, that looks really good. That looks really good. I am fan. Fan I am. I will not do it with a goat. Painting metallics with techniques of NMM draw fader. You're not a fan of non-metallic metal. Why not? I always love to ask people why not when they say they're not a fan. For me, having worked with metal my whole life, metallic paints don't look metallic. So that's my thing. But generally, people say non-metallic doesn't look metallic to them, and that's why they don't like it. So it's very interesting, right? That it can be so dramatically visual cued one way or the other for people. But being a person who's been around metal my whole life, and you know, working with metal, welding, bending, and all that, metallic paints don't look metallic. That's hard area to get. The ribs. Ribs? You don't like the cartoony look. Oh, well that's a function of technique of application. That's not necessarily the way it all looks. If you've seen people that do it cartoony and don't like it, I totally get that. But it definitely doesn't have to look cartoony. It can look ultra realistic. Do 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 do. But yeah, I totally get it. There's a good reason to like and dislike either. Visual preference, man. Whatever floats your boat. Don't ever feel like you have to do one versus the other to get your metallics to be acceptable or anything like that. That's a nonsense thing. You do need to always do your metallics well. Is the only thing. You need to understand reflection, whether you do metallic or true metallics, which I don't like calling them that. Use metallic paint or use non-metallic. You need to understand reflection because, like you made mention of, right? Doing metallic paints with a non-metallic style is really just saying understand reflection and highlight in a way that brings the model to life better. And I 100% agree with that. Metallics when used with the same attention to detail. And that's why when people ask me, why do you always choose non-metallic over metallic? And I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm like, because it takes me the same amount of time to do the metallic paints, right? Because in order to make it look the way I want, I have to invest that time that I would already be doing with non-metallics because it just is a different paint that I'm using. You know, if you're using the same technique, then you're spending the same time. I just have one that is shiny and one that isn't. So, but I have to still spend time placing the shine in the right spot to control the paint. Otherwise, it shines incorrectly and looks all funky like glitter, which I don't like. But yeah, I typically choose non-metallic on all my models. But like Tim alludes to, it's much better for me as a human being to try to find a quicker way to use metallic paint when painting an army so that I don't just consistently fall into the abyss of not getting finished like with my Blood Angels because it's all non-metallic gold and there's miles of non-metallic gold in that army. It's always a pain. I fall victim to it every time they get me. I like that. I'm liking that. Bogus, you got to watch Muted. No. I promise I won't curse. Are you in bed next to your significant other? Because if you are, and you can read my lips, or if perhaps you're watching with captions on, which I don't think that's a thing, but if you're in bed next to your partner and that's why you can't have the volume up, put the phone or your watching device next to your partner real quick. I'll give you a few seconds. Hey, baby. This is me. I'd like to tell you how sexy you are and how much I love you. And that right now, you're as beautiful as you've ever been. And you'll be even more beautiful in 30 seconds. Thank you, baby. There you go. See? There you go. There you go. See? Now the stream's worth watching because it was motivational, right? It was motivational. It made them feel loved. Now they're like, you need to watch that guy more often. And all of a sudden, we're attached to the hip. You're here every day wondering, hey, man, can I get another hit of that self-motivation? And I'm like, of course you can, friend. That's why we do this. And before you know it, everybody loves you. Your wife has now left me and is trying to hit up Jason. Why is my phone ringing? Alex, did you walk into that? Alex is like, what did I just walk into? Oh, Tim Frank's got it. You tuned in right in time. Hey, baby. You looking mighty fine in them there sheets. You've never been more beautiful, honey. Once I get done watching this amazing slow fuse stream, I'll be right back to paying attention to you. These paints are super powerful. Holy crap. I really wanted to. I kind of, as I'm doing this testing, I'm happy that you guys and gals are allowing me the time to just kind of play with paint as I test these. But holy crap, are they great! I don't get the tide staining. I can use them aggressively. They don't get splotchy. I'm watering them down with just tap water, no medium, and they're not turning ultra runny. I mean, they obviously get lower viscosity as I add more water to it, but still very usable, still giving me a high tint strength, right? So they're still placing a lot of color on the model. Move well, don't tear the layers beneath them as I go over with a wet layer over the top of a one that's already set on the model. This is the kind of power I enjoy from a paint to make things when I say, if people are saying it makes it easier to paint, let's really make it easier to paint and achieve really good results at whatever level you're planning on painting, right? So no matter if you're a beginner or intermediate painter, whatever that means, or a pro or whatever, right? That you should be able to attack every model with the paint in front of you is my goal. And I feel like these add to that goal. This is very, very strong. See you, Tim. You out of here? Ryan, yeah. Adepticon with the first 12 colors, of which all the colors you're seeing me use on stream will most likely make it into that. If they're not in the sold set at Adepticon, they will be in the test set. We plan to have 12 colors for showing off and 12 colors for selling. 12 to show, 12 to go, as we say in the biz. That's not, I don't know what biz says that, but that's what I'm going with, chat. That's what I'm sticking with. Do Sables and Dauntless Synthetics have a difference in holding a shape if I paint heavier? Um, if you paint with a heavy hand, Sables will most likely work better for you because they tend to have more flex. Synthetics get stiffer and have more snap. So synthetics are prone to come back to a point quicker. If you paint quick, fast textures and stuff like I do, I prefer synthetics most of the time for that reason. Um, if you have a heavy hand forcibly pressing the brush against the surface, then a sable might, I can't always say they will, because it depends, what your version of forceful and mine are. But a sable has the tendency to give you more leeway in how far the bristles can bend before the tip distorts, before it flattens out, right, or loses its sharpness because of how flexible the sable is. That's one of the best things about it. They were originally kind of introduced into art as watercolor brushes, but people mistake that for being something that isn't supposed to be used with acrylics, and that's not the case. They were made for watercolor, introduced for watercolor, because acrylics weren't really a thing. And what we really mean is that, when we talk about, like, for watercolor, it means low viscosity, right? Sables are made for watery paints, so they work great with acrylics. But you need to be careful about the flex and all that stuff that we're talking about. Man, I did knock the crap out of this model with the dry brush and knock some paint off in places I wish I hadn't. Cordell, right now, I do not have any favorites. I'm picking the colors based on what I'm really excited to be able to give you, to, like with all of our Pro Acryl releases, what will be good for mixing, what will give you good base, kind of desaturated, but I mean, they are vibrant, but the flat nature of them, right? They're matte finish, so the flat nature visually of them kind of makes them more desaturated, but still punchy. Like the yellow is very punchy, the orange is very punchy. I've mixed the orange with the warm brown right now, and it's still highly vibrant. But I've filtered this down with a ton of water, right? It's super diluted right now, and it still has quite a bit of effect, as you can see, on coverage. And this is just, one coat, as you would expect. They don't have a bad time with, what just happened? Something popped. What's I saying? They don't have bad time with, like, re-wetting, putting them layer over layer, mixing with other colors and paints. We will have a medium as well. I can, like, right now, what I'm going to be doing is taking the pigment, cleaning the brush real quick, and then just taking a wet brush. It just has a lot of water, and then kind of feathering the edge, right? So I can do those kinds of techniques with it and feather it out and get it to kind of blend out over the surface. In this case, I want the scales to get lighter as we go towards the belly and the drape of the neck here. So the tint will reveal more of the color underneath than not. And I can do fun stuff like that without tearing the paint. So I'm beating them up and putting them through their paces and really making sure that they do everything I want them to do. Because I, like with everything, I hold true to if I can't use it the way I want to, then I'm not selling it to you. And so far, they've lived up to it. We've had some issues that we've gone through. Right now, we're in freeze thaw testing. I've got one more batch of colors coming that's going to be fun to show you. Yeah, loving them. As far as like what colors are my favorite, though, no, I don't have a favorite. The black is really bitchin'. It's got a tinge of blue, and it is a blue that leans a little bit more to like a greenish hue. So it gives a really cool black for like, Space Marine armor and stuff like that, just straight out of the gate. I'll show you the models that I've kind of test painted some of the colors on because I don't think I've shown all those colors off. I have been beating them up, like scratching them and testing for stability on the paint, things like that. So not all the models that I'm doing around here are beautiful because of that, but Avian, I lied. I flat out lied to you. I don't even feel sadness for lying to you. I know that might come as a shock and a surprise and be hurtful, but I don't feel anything. I feel nothing. I feel no pain, no shame, no pain. I got done with my meeting. I was sitting at the house. I walked out into the living room and told Jen, because the meeting was at our house all day today. So Jen was out in the living room with the dogs, getting settled into her night. 5:30, 6 o'clock rolls around. Our meeting ended at like 5. Everybody went home. Team went home. And we were left there at the house. And we ate a big lunch with the team today. And so I knew I wasn't going to want dinner, so we weren't cooking or doing anything like that at the house. And so I just sat down in front of the computer, and I didn't feel like playing video games. I didn't feel like doom scrolling all night long. So I was like, I really want to paint. And I don't have a painting station at home. I know that seems crazy, but I don't. One of the things I told Jen as I was leaving the house, I was like, I probably need to cave in and create a painting station for myself at the house somehow. I try not to do that because I like to come paint at the studio. It's built for me. It's been for 10 years. I've painted like this with this equipment. I mean, we've got some new equipment. It's not all 10 years old, but I painted in the studio as my sole painting location when I'm not traveling for over 10 years. And so that's hard for me. Because I'm not going to set this same setup up at home, but I'll take a go bag and we'll make something happen so that I can have paint at home. And I might even be able to do like a quick camera setup. It wouldn't be near as cool as here, but I could do something to where when I'm at home and I'm painting, I could just turn the camera on too, and we could hang out, do the Discord thing or stuff like this. Just a quick impromptu stream. We'll see. I'm really liking this. This is starting to look really good now that this side is dry. You can see how matte finish it is. Sorry, I don't have the ability to zoom when Chris isn't here without walking around to his station. But you can see the matte finish, no gloss, right? Dries really nice. Looks very good. You've emailed 3 weeks ago for what? What are we talking about? Here is, well, I mean, here's the color of the mix compared to what you're getting. By nature, a filter as a paint is always going to be difficult to tell the color of because it's largely influenced by the paint underneath it. So that's always the case, right? You'll look at it in the jar. You should be able to place it over white and get the color you see in the jar. It might be more vibrant even than what you see in the jar, but in general, that's what I would expect from it. That's the way we will treat these. Is that if you were to put them over just a white base with no value sketching, no zenithal highlight or anything, you'll get what you see the color in the jar for. When you start putting it over a value sketch, like a zenithal highlight, which is really what makes these paints come alive, then all bets are off, because, you know, I like this zenithal that I've done was all in those browns, those dark golden browns, dark warm flesh, right, and warm flesh dry brush over it. So my zenithal wasn't even white and black. It's colors. And so now you're blending color. And so for me, that's the thing that these paints do so well, is allow me to play with color, because their intensity is still strong enough to have a really good effect. I can go in very confident knowing that I'm going to get a really good outcome, but I can play with it like a real paint because they thin so easy. Some don't, right? A lot of these types of paints out on the market, when you go to thin them, you got to use a custom resin, medium, all that kind of stuff. And with ours, you just put tap water in it. It works like a champ. So you can start thinning it just like normal paint. You don't have to learn how to do anything different. And treat it like a normal paint in this case, although kind of like a brush on, well, a brush on wash, like all washes can be brushed on, but you get my drift. Like, this is one that can be very deliberate. You know, you see me, I'm in some of these areas, I'm not throwing it on to where it's just a big sloppy mess. I'm actually just painting it on, but it's still having the effect I want. It's still giving me darker where I want, lighter where I don't, or vice versa. And yet I still can, like over here, I can just slop it in between these scales. I can be as willy-nilly with it as I want, or I can be fairly specific with it. The paint holds up very well under all conditions. But from a color perspective, yeah, you should be able to expect it to do what it says on the tin, so to speak. But what it says on the tin is that it has very low opacity in a lot of cases. And so that's going to mean that your base coat colors affect it dramatically. So you just have to be careful with that. And sometimes that might be asking you to know more than you really want. When you pick up the color, you're like, oh, this color looks bitchin', but then you go to put it on a model with, you know, white and black, and the way the color looks over the black part of your highlight, it makes the color skew really bad and gives you something maybe you didn't expect. But typically it should still be good, right? Hopefully. Long question says choker of chickens. I love it. As a brand new painter, I'm thinking about using the Pro line of paints, but how does a new person start collecting base layer shades of paint? Does the new painter really need to buy over 30 plus shades of paint? No. You don't ever have to buy any colors that you don't like or don't want. When you say base layer shade, that's a GW construct. That is a Citadel construct. Base layer highlight shade are all ideas of brightness, what we call value, okay? So in the painting world, obviously there's value of, did you get value out of that? But when we talk about value in painting, we're talking about the brightness of the color you're painting. And so if you get a dark color, that's your dark value and that's your shade layer. Then you can paint a mid-tone on top of that, and that's your mid-tone, or your base, as GW likes to call it. And then you can use a highlight over the top of that that's brighter. So you could use a dark blue, mid-blue, bright blue, and get the effect that you want. Or you could use, like, I don't typically paint that way. I don't typically use the same hue across all the ranges of value on a model. I typically use dark purple or something in the shadows, and then, you know, my color for the body of the thing, you know, if I were painting armor, you know, and say I'm painting yellow armor, I might use dark purple as a shadow, then I might use an orange like what you see me using here, like a burnt orange as the midtone, and then highlight it with the yellows so that my yellow looks a lot dirtier. These are more complicated things. As a new painter, I don't expect you to follow that specifically. But to answer your question is, you know, like if you were going to start with Pro Acrylic, the base set and expansion set 1 are where I try to point people. Now, yes, That's 36 colors. You will use all of those colors. You don't right out of the gates need all of those colors. So if you wanted to go look at our base set, right, the white, the black, the red, the yellow, the blue, the green, those are all base colors that we call it the base set because it's like the basic, and it was also the first colors we released. Those colors will all be useful for you, but in reality, it's like, hey, do you have a model you're trying to paint? Do you have an idea for colors you want to color it? Go buy those colors. I think you need to have a good bright tint additive, something like white or pale yellow or our white blue, something in that range that gives you the ability to brighten colors up if you need to, or to do your final highlight. So a bright color like that is necessary. A dark color like Payne's gray or dark neutral gray, something like that, is generally very good to have. Notice I didn't say white and black. Not that white and black are not good to have, but you tend to not use them very much. Right? Once you start painting, you'll realize very quickly that white and black on their own don't do a lot for you because they're very neutral colors, meaning they don't have a lot of vibrancy, or, well, vibrancy might not be the right way to say it. You can have a vibrant black and a vibrant white, meaning that, you know, they're bright and have a lot of forceful color to them, but it's not something that you add to your model for vibrancy, right? They give you brightness and darkness, but they aren't going to punch the color up. They're actually going to desaturate it and make it look duller. So I typically don't say you have to have a black and a white, but a lot of people like having a black and a white to mix in with their other colors to get, you know, a darker color by mixing black. But I would use something like a Payne's gray. And then for white, something like a pale yellow or a white blue instead. Something that has a little bit of color to it, gives it some interest. Yeah. Then out of the rest of that, just look at look at our base set and our expansion set 1 and pick the colors that interest you and buy those. You own all the paints and regularly use about 30. Yeah, you know, I will be very honest with you, and you've heard me say this year after year. We didn't plan to make more than 96 paints because in my heart of hearts, I don't use that many paints, right? That you just see me, right? I use the same paints over and over again, and then I mix them together. The problem is that not everybody wants to mix. Some people are like, I ain't got time for that. That's fine. That's why we make more colors, so that the color that you want to use is readily available when you don't want to spend time mixing or you're not comfortable mixing or whatever. I can't fault you for that. That's great. We'll make more colors until we run out of space for the people that feel like they need it, and that will work great. At the same time, when people come in and say, how many colors do you really need? I'm like, well, you need as many as you want, right? If you find yourself in a spot where you use a color and you're mixing colors, because what happens for me, believe it or not, when I'm figuring out what colors I want to be in the line and I go to make the next set, a lot of times what I'm doing is asking myself, what colors do I mix all the time that I wish I could just reach for? That's it. I ask the same questions you do of my paints, right? And so if I've got a color that I'm like, good God, man, I mix this eclectic salmon all the time, then I should probably put it in the line, you know, because of selfish reasons. I'm like, yeah, I'm lazy. I don't feel like I want to mix it all the time, but every time I paint red, I wind up mixing a color very similar to eclectic salmon as my highlight. So why don't I just make that paint for myself? And that's what we do. So I'm right there with you. I don't want to own 50 million paints, but I also, in that same breath, want to have the paints I need and the time that I need them, and sometimes I don't feel like mixing. So I think that as you start, you wind up buying more paints than you actually use. As you get more confident with your painting, right, then you tend to find your comfort with mixing and blending and things like that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, yeah, I don't use a lot of these paints, but I will guarantee you there's a time where you reach over for them and it's still good that you have them, no matter what the color is. There'll be a time where like, oh my gosh, you know, 3 years after the fact, I'm finally picking up this color, and how come I haven't used that more? That color's great. Faded plum is one of those colors. A lot of people buy into our paint sets, they get faded plum in the expansion set, and then all of a sudden they're like, I've never used that color. And then the first time they use it, they're like, holy hell, how come I've never used this color? Fuse, why didn't you tell me I should be using this color? I'm like, faded plum is great. Faded plum is great. But you'll hear me talk a lot about how, as you go through your journey and you pick the model you want to paint, that'll guide a lot of it. There's nothing wrong with buying the paints that let you paint the model you want to paint. You don't have to buy any more than that. I'm painting Imperial Fists, so I'm going to buy all the yellows, blacks, silvers, golds, and everything I need for Imperial Fists, and I'll buy everything else later when I start my next army. Great. Do it. Whatever makes sense to you is the right answer. 50-50 dark purple and blue, enough that I keep a bottle of it? Yeah, okay, awesome. Yeah, Double T. Eric does a lot of blending from more of I won't call it a CMYK because he'll start with flesh tones, but he'll have, like a yellowish flesh tone and, a reddish, pinkish flesh tone and then maybe a shade or a highlight color or something like that. And he'll just blend them all. You need a mid-tone, a shade, and a highlight is all you need. And then you can mix everything you want to paint from those three colors. Hell, if you do it right, you can do it from two, right? That's just up to you. There's as many ways to paint as there are painters. We always say that around here. Eric's a fantastic painter. So, never a bad thing to watch what he does and see if it's something you want to try to emulate. If you can go in and get that smooth blend, do his value sketching and his color sketching that he does as he gets his palette right, and then move into fine-tuning it both for color, value, and composition as you go. If that makes sense to you, it's a great way to paint, right? A lot of painters, including myself, work that way. We kind of use color as a base and then refine it until I keep putting my finger on all the painted areas. It's hard to get to some of these overlapping spots without hitting everything I don't want to hit to get there. I'm going to use the brush and kind of squish it in there to see if I can make it work. But as a beginner, don't worry about any of that. Focus on putting the paint in the right place, being able to stay inside the lines, so to speak, treat the model like a coloring book. We say a lot. And just make sure that you can practice getting good at putting the color where it's supposed to go, not getting it all outside the lines. Then start worrying about smoothness and blending and highlights and shading and all that stuff. First thing is all the stuff like I'm doing, play play operation with the model and see if you can stay inside the lines and not get paint over and bang paint on everything. Start learning how to paint from the inside out, which is not what you're seeing me do here. You're seeing me having painted the inside and then coming in and putting a filter over it, which is bound to get color all over everything else I painted. Right, and so I'm having to just kind of do what is traditionally a sloppy job, which is applying an overall wash or filter on a model. And I would love to be able to just do this without any care, but I'm having to kind of stay inside the lines, so to speak, as much as possible, so that I don't have to go back and repair any of my work on the armor. In this case, everything else is what it is. I don't care. But the armor that we painted in the jades and blues and greens, we want to keep that as pristine as possible. They're looking pretty good. Baldman says, I just want to say thank you for all the info you put out in the community, as well as just the belief in quality products and not just making items to sell because you feel you actually put out quality products. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That means the world, man. Thank you, Baldman. Yeah, it's really something that we have hung our hat on for a long time. I won't sell a product until I'll use the product because we do this show. This show is that catalyst. I'll be very honest with you. The fact that you can come in here at any time and say, hey, why should I use your transparent paints? Why should I use your Noosh medium? Why should I use your glaze? Why should I use any product you make, Jason? And I know, it's not a hope, I know I can go through and tell you why I use it. And hopefully by showing you how I use it or why I use it and how, that you can find a place for you, or you'll at least get an answer to your question to see if it's worth spending your time and money on. Because I don't like buying things I have no clue whether they're going to work. So that's one thing we do here. You can come see the product live in action. You can see products we don't sell yet, like the one I'm using right now. This is not available, but will be soonish. So you can be part of the development process if you want to look at it that way. I don't know that I'm going to listen to any of you about what I'm doing here, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, I don't want to ever sit here and try to make up a reason why you should use a product. I mean, because it's, lots of people ask us for wet palettes, but I don't use a wet palette. So I have a hard time with that, right? I have a hard time saying or coming up with a reason why I should offer one. We have people here that do. Baby J does. So there's a world where I could, make a Baby J inspired wet palette. But that doesn't really, bode well, I think, for the story that we've been building here for so many years. Some of these areas that I hope have paint on them, they kind of look like gray plastic. So I'm like, this is press and pray right here. We're going to go with, yes, they have paint. But his fiddly bits and thigh and all, I think that's dark purple is the reason why I'm thinking it looks like gray plastic. I think it's just a dark purple primer, maybe. Yeah. I'm going to say yeah with confidence, so I don't feel like if I was just putting paint over raw plastic right now, it would not be sticking, and it's adhering pretty well. Either that or I've created the best paint on the planet, which may be true anyway, but I don't think I made it to where it would adhere to raw plastic, so. This kind of paint, I want to make sure I at least try to feather out anywhere where I'm going and slopping it into the areas that are hard to see, so it doesn't create big lines of division amongst that and the other areas of the model. If I can avoid it. AC Minis definitely applies your paint to raw plastic regularly before he goes. Yeah, he doesn't prime, does he? All the time. Does he prime? I think Aaron doesn't prime a whole lot. Which I hope he doesn't paint for game pieces. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay if you're going to put it on a shelf. If you're painting for game pieces, always prime your stuff. And I love Aaron, but I don't care. Prime your stuff. Aaron, if you're out there, prime your stuff. Paint, general acrylic paint does not have a strong enough resin to last long term under use. It just doesn't. So it's always better to err on the side of caution and do a coat of primer. Even, we use colored primer. Have the primer wind up being your base coat. That's fine. Like we do with purple. But prime your minis. You wouldn't buy a car that hadn't been primed, right? It makes no sense. If you're going to have your minis. Now, if you're just going to put them on a shelf, all bets are off. I don't care. Prime or not, up to you. You're just going to put them in a cabinet and you don't want to prime, don't prime. That's fine. Right there. There's areas here that the lighting in the studio just keeps in shadow no matter where I turn the model. Good God, I have to get between these toes. I'm going to do that. I'm just slop it on there. The power of the paint. Just let the paint run into the crevices here. Do the work. And then I'm going to have to do the reach down into the hole to get between the toes. It sounds horrible when you say it out loud. God, maybe here? I don't have a good angle of attack for this toe. First world problems, chat. I don't know how to compensate. All right, I think I got everything. Yay. This would just be kind of bad after mixing this to then find a big spot that I missed. Does anybody see a spot I missed? At the mouth. Does it look like I missed anything? I feel like I got everything. Let's set it down for a minute and stop looking at it, and then we'll come back and look at it some more and see if there's anything I think I missed. I think I'm good. I like that color with the green, though, right? I was saying that the green is going to look good with the fire and the oranges and the dwarfy colors, and I think we nailed it. Do Color Forge. Walters, what's going on? Do I lacquer? Do I recommend a lacquer for game pieces? You know, I used to say yes to that because the Tester's Dull Coat lacquer was the only matte varnish I would ever use. When Tester's got bought by the people that make why am I drawing a blank? The big U.S. spray paint company. When they got bought, then it made it very difficult to get Tester's Dull Coat. And then after that, I'm like, probably not. I haven't been able to find another matte lacquer that I use. We, of course, make our own that is an acetone-based acrylic spray. And the acetone is the same composition that you would find for like outdoor marking paints. So super strong and durable and dries a lot quicker than the lacquers do. And while still being a pungent smell, is not as strong as a lacquer. But it's very durable. So we use ours. And it's ultra matte without doing that cloudy thing. So long as you keep the can at room temperature. Choker, don't worry about it, man. We're here for the questions. What is that one concept that every beginning painter needs to master, in your opinion? Brush mastery, like brush handling. It's a term that's thrown around loosely, and nobody really takes the time to show you what brush handling means. It's the ability to, and I wish that Chris was here because he'd show you all of the links. Go to our YouTube channel, right? And hunt around on the videos there, because the videos that I do for like just do this, and we've got some good simplified things as well as some very good advanced stuff. But brush handling is going to be one of your biggest things. So I'm using this speed paint here, right? This secret sauce paint. Brush handling, meaning that you need to practice, and you can do this on paper, painting lines, or on cardboard or something. You need to practice the ability to do, do a big chonky stroke and get good even content out of your line and be able to pull a line of paint over an inch or two. Just gives you the ability to say, oh, I can paint in a straight line. That's very valuable, believe it or not, because a lot of time your wrist ergonomics make you want to paint in kind of a arc like that, because of the way your fingers and wrist move on a ball socket, basically. So the line is harder to pull straight. So practicing pulling straight lines, right? Practicing being able to paint thin lines, right? With this same big-ass brush, being able to paint thin parallel lines. That'll teach you brush control a lot better so that you can make sure that you can do textures. You're not really going to paint a whole lot of parallel lines at very fine resolution. I mean, you might create a texture that looks like that, but a lot of times you'll see me flicking very quick for very thin lines, right? So being able to take a big brush with lots of paint that lets you paint for a long time and do a lot of very thin lines quickly in different angles and stuff, just practicing that kind of stuff. But brush control is the de facto deciding case as to whether or not your painting will progress in a way that you will enjoy. Being able to choose color is cool, but you could paint everything in black and white and be one of the best painters in the world if you have brush control and understand then value. There's some other things that obviously we have to load a lot of information on you, because as a painter, what you're really trying to do is recreate the illusion of lighting on your model. We don't want our model to be governed the way it looks, to be governed by the light in the room. We want to apply our paint in a way that tells the story of where the light was when this model was taken a photo of, because every model is really just a three-dimensional photo. The thing doesn't move, time doesn't affect it, it stands still, and you create a story around that like a photograph, and every photograph you look at has a captured point in time of light. So if you take a photo of me right now, the light's all coming from this side, and it would stay that way no matter what you do, right? That's what a model is. So your paint needs to reflect that. So learning the brush control to be able to get the right amount of paint in the right location is your first step. And then start learning how to apply dark to light applications to create volumes and lighting on your model. And then color is really the tertiary thing I talk about. Then start talking about color, right? Yeah, I think it's called Chasing the Tip, Bald Man, something like that. T. Schmidt, I don't know, what time is it? 8? Is it 8? Crap, I got here at 6. How does 2 hours? That can't be the truth, right? I left the house at 6, so that's not real true, right? That's not fair. I haven't been here on stream for 2 hours. How long have I been going? Does it say anywhere? An hour and 15 minutes. What? Joker, awesome. Yeah, for me too, man. It's a tension relief. It's a great way to have your brain escape the world and kind of tunnel vision into something fun. The models and stuff that we paint a lot of times are escapism. Even if you do historical models, it can be an escapist routine for you. Doesn't have to be sci-fi and fantasy. There's something for everybody in painting, and that's the thing that I love the most, I think. So welcome to our fun little hobby. Love answering the questions. Sugar Rush says, so how much stuff are you going to have for me to buy next year? What's your budget looking like? Over the course of the year, we'll be releasing 48 of the new Secret Sauce paints. I got 3 new Texture Trainer framables coming out. The one's done by Adrian Smith. And then after that, I've got probably 3 more. I've got a handful of 35 millimeter miniatures that will be out as part of, they'll be sold both as individuals and as part of starter sets. Anything else I can talk about? The weathering pigments come out in January, right? I think. Weathering pigments, January, February. The next 6 expert acrylics, the last 6 brings us to 22 expert acrylics, so those are coming out. Some really great colors in that. We've got a lot happening next year, so that's a lot. What's your budget? I don't know. What does that wind up equaling? $300 or $400. Trying to blow your wallet's O-ring out? Your wallet hasn't had an O-ring for a long time, Wad. What are you talking about? Avian weathering pigments in January or February? I've showed them off. Were you not here to see them? They haven't been on the desk. There's 8 of them. They haven't been on the desk for a while because one of our art team, Ryan, stole them. But I've got black iron oxide, right? So just a good black, soot black. Titanium white, of course, what we're known for. We also have unbleached titanium, right? Which is what happens before, wait for it, before you bleach titanium, right? So it gives you kind of a real good tan, earthy color. It's a great pigment. Raw umber, right? Gives you kind of a yellowy, greenish brown, which is nice. Yellow iron oxide, kind of a yellow ochre. Red iron oxide, Mars. Burnt umber, which is just a really good kind of warmer brown to compare with the raw, right? So you see the kind of yellowish versus the reddish browns. So that's good. And then raw sienna too, right? Which again, just gives you a darker, more orangey version of a earthy yellow tone. You haven't got weathering pigments? How do you use them? You dust them on with a brush, yeah. You dust them on with a brush, and then you usually will stipple a varnish over to lock them in. I don't usually spray varnish on them. I usually take a brush and stipple varnish on it to lock it into place. It's a nuance that you have to know. If you hold the airbrush back far enough, you can dust it too. You just don't want to get the airbrush too close because you'll blow the pigment off. It sticks really well. It doesn't stay loose on the model. It actually acts like a dry paint, if you will. But sometimes you varnish and it has less effect visually than it did when you put the pigment on because you will lose some, on the application. So sometimes you have to do 2 or 3. But yeah, I mean, it's super easy to do. Let's pick a model we don't care about here. What do you mean a model we don't care about? Is that a thing? Who has models they don't care about? Doopy doopy doo. Doopy doopy doo. I have a whole bunch of models down here that I don't care about, do I? Ta-da! Oh, I told you I was going to show you the black, right? This is the, I've been stress testing, but this is the black secret sauce paint. It's done over a bunch of base layers. So there was blue under it here that I applied it over to darken that up. This is just raw over white, and then me rubbing the crap out of it to see if we could knock it off at various stages of it drying, and then over white on the shield. But you can see it kind of has a bluish, greenish tone to it when it's just done like this, so it'd be great for black armor. Just almost instantaneous, great black armor. So I'm a big fan of that. Let's do it over that, right? Let's do like a let's do the unbleached titanium. I always shake them up. You don't have to shake them up, obviously. So you obviously don't have to shake them up. That's not the way that works. Typically, I would use a brush that you no longer care about for these. That's the only caveat to using weathering pigments. You typically want to use a brush that's kind of beat, right? I've got this old Tester Dauntless brush. I nearly wet the brush. Do not wet the brush. You will make mud. I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, you just kind of dip the brush in. Be careful because, you know, weathering pigments are a mess because, you know, you get some on your brush and then you have to do this. Tap on the side of the bottle to get it off. If you flick the brush like you would with paint, it goes everywhere. So you just have to get used to, you know, get some on your brush and then tap the ferrule to get it off because it's dry, right? And then you come over here. I'm sorry, I don't have the camera ability to zoom in, so you're going to have to deal with me here, right? And then we just kind of feather it onto the model, right? And I might have it just be, you know, this is just dirt from the ground, and so I'll feather it on there. Blow it off. Load the brush up again, just like painting. It's just dry paint, right? And then I'll come over here and put it on the model. You don't want to load up too much because you'll see like every brush stroke you do has a little smoke cloud that comes off of it. That smoke cloud can attach to the model in other areas. And then we have a neat dusty foot, right? And it blends perfectly. Like there's no line there at all. So you got a neat dusty foot, and you can do that anywhere. So, you know, you can put that all over the base. You can imagine if you have dirt on the base, something like this, you know. So if we've got dirt on a base, I'll do it on this Blood Angel because I got to repaint this base anyway. But if we were to, I'm not going to put it on his foot, but if you were to do it on the base, you could start coloring the base color with it and then bring that up onto the boot too. Works great. Super easy. That's all you got to do. Then that's why I say keep the brush to the side and you don't have to clean it. This brush now is just a pigment brush and you can just wipe it on a paper towel and you're done, or wipe it on your desktop and you're done. Be careful of this, right? Try to make sure you drive all the pigment into the base. Don't let it just sit there. Because it is like dry paint. It will get on things. So there you go. Easy peasy. So I'll have 8 of those. It's going to be great. How does it stick? I mean, it sticks to the model pretty well. Like once it sets up, like if I come and wipe it with my finger, it doesn't come off, right? It might come off just the edges once it's on there. But if you, then when you want to stick it on, where's my varnish? That's noosh. Where is gloss? Gloss? I don't want gloss. I don't want whatever that is. Why don't I have, where is, hello? How come I don't have matte varnish? Hello? I have 2 glosses and no mattes. Why don't I have matte varnish? I will use Glaze Wash Medium. It's matte. It works. Glaze wash medium can work too. The glaze wash medium is not as matte as our matte varnish, but pretty close. It's not satin, so it'll work fine. Put out a little bit of glaze wash medium. Right. You don't want an overly wet brush. You want your brush to just be damp enough to have paint work on it. Right. And then you can just kind of, like I said, you get enough of the, I wish I could zoom in for you guys. Right, but get enough of that on, it's going to look like it goes away immediately, but I just kind of tap the varnish onto the surface, right? And boom, that locks it in. Don't use heavy brush strokes, you'll move it around, but that then locks it. It's not going to look like it to you because now it's wet, but when it dries, you'll get that faded dirt back. And you can airbrush it too, just keep the airbrush further back so that the air pressure doesn't blow a whole lot of the pigment around. They make pigment fixatives and things like that, but all they are is mediums. They're the same thing. They may be a little bit more watery naturally, but easy peasy. All right, I need this to go away. I want some dark warm flesh again. I think it'll look good over the orange that we just did. The aerosol matte varnish be better for that? Yeah, it has a lot of force, but yeah, you mean the rattle can? Yeah, the rattle can would work. Again, just keep it like normal distance. Silver, awesome. Yeah, the first 12 colors are going to be a red. I don't have the good red here. I was doing pyro red, and then as we work through it, it's too bright. It doesn't make sense. So we'll be doing a darker red that becomes a bright red over the white. That's a much better thing. But we'll be doing a warm brown. We've got a really good gray that is super awesome. It's like a graphite gray. It's super awesome. The orange that you've seen me use, the dark green brown. We've got a bright blue. I should turn these like this, right? Should be fine. Should be okay. We've got this, I'm not going to show you. We probably aren't going to do that. We have a smoky green. We've got the black. We've got royal purple. Is that the royal? Why does that not look like royal? Oh, royal purple. That's dark purple. That will not come out in the first one. Warm yellow. Shadow flesh. Shadow flesh doesn't ever look right on the bottom, but you can get the drift. Shadow flesh. We will have a dark red. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 dark red and a bone color that's kind of a, it's bone, right? It's like a lighter brown that gets darker in the crevices is my goal. It was either that or white. We might have a white. I'm playing around with either between bone or white as to what actually hits in the first batch. So there you go. The pyro red? No. I mean, it works, but you wouldn't use it for much of anything. Silver's like, I'm going to set a world record for swipe speed. And the medium. So you'll get the clear medium that you can use with any of our paints to make your own colors. So if you wanted pyro red, you can use the clear medium. I'm going to make a darker red, and that darker red is going to be bright like pyro red on the white spots. The problem is the pyro red doesn't get dark enough to really make a difference for me. So we'll do a dark red that works better in that regard. And then over time we might, bring in a bright red too, but I don't see it being very useful. We will do white, T-Schmidt. I just don't know which one will be ready for the first 12 that launch. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying to you. All right, we're going to try to do this with a number 2. I did it with a number 1, and it knocked off too much paint, so I'm going to try to do it with a DD2 this time around. Oh, that's perfect. Brings a little bit more depth into the thing. Don't need it everywhere, just on the high spots. Good lesson to remember that, you know, when you're using your paints, just because it says flesh, you know, I am using it on, obviously, you know, dragon or lizard flesh, so it tracks. But just because it says flesh doesn't mean that's the only place you can use it, right? Remember that you could use this dark warm flesh on like wood. Works a champ on wood. Do fleshy marine. Stop it. Stop it. Unless you mean using flesh colors as marine armor colors, that I could get with. But don't paint them like they're fleshy. That's not what I'm saying at all. Chris will be mad when he shows up tomorrow because he'll be like, wait, how did it change colors? What did you do? Nailed it. Sounded exactly like Chris. Yeah, the stuff we did on the Lord of Tumors, I think, just worked perfect. Um, Keep that link because I think when if you're going to use them to do like Death Guard or something, that's going to be your starting point. It's just too good. That whole thing turned out great. I remembered last night after we ended stream that I was supposed to show somebody that and I never pulled it out. So, oops. Again, I'm not pressing very hard, just very light. It's just I'm using a very bright color over the top of this to pull out some of the highlight spots, and then we'll brush paint a lot more of the details on here. This just sets us up for a good starting point for some of that contrast again. And it's quick. You can do all this with a brush. You don't have to dry brush if you don't like the texture. I'm just showing off how fast we can get good results and testing our new secret sauce paints. That's not the name of them, by the way. Oh, no, I'm not using pigment powders for this. Yeah, Nova Orange isn't sold in sets. It's the only paint other than the washes. Remember, the washes aren't in sets either. The only set that has any washes in it is the intro set, which is a repeat of other colors available. It's made to be the first place you jump on and try our paints. It comes with 3 brushes, and some of the base set colors, some of the expansion set 1 and 4 colors, and then 2 washes. I think 2 washes, some metallics. So. Yeah, now we're talking. That's feeling pretty good. Do 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 do. You hate when you get to like 70 to 80% of a paint job and realize you're not happy. Is it the wrong color or not happy with the color? Did you paint a model to match something else and get 80% done with it, realizing you used the wrong color? That's a problem. Getting to the end of it, not liking the color, maybe step away from it for a little bit before you make that ultimate choice, right? Maybe give yourself a moment to breathe before saying, oh, darn, because you might find out that you like it a little later. The amp set has, it does have some washes. I'm talking about the brown, black, and flesh monument washes, the first Procro washes. Those are not in any sets other than the intro set. All the other, that's why I said just those first 3 washes. Everything else is in sets, except for Nova Orange and those 3. And Wizard's Butt, of course. The individual Wizard Butts. J. Irby, take it easy. What's the orange workup on this? Oh God, it's gonna be not fair to tell you, right? It was dark purple, and then over the dark purple we did dark golden brown. Then over the dark golden brown we did what did we do, chat? Over dark golden brown. You remember? Would you just do dark warm flesh straight over dark golden brown? I don't think so, right? We might have. We might have just done the dark warm flesh over the dark golden brown, and then warm flesh as a highlight, and then we did the amp sets have 4 washes. Droth, 2 in each set, and they're amazing. Payne's Gray wash is literally one of the best washes you'll ever use. You can replace it for where you might want to use black wash almost all the damn time. Like, legit, it's amazing. The magenta wash, amazing. I use it on skin tones constantly. It is something that we used on the Trench Crusade Lord of Tumors that we're doing. You won't be able to see a whole lot, but it's what makes the kind of reddish, bloody, pustule, pop pimple spots all over his body. And it just glazes like the pinkishness on the elbow and stuff like that just spectacularly. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic. This model is really rad. We did this primarily all other than the metallics and the bright yellow green on here with the special sauce paints. And we mixed the medium with the metallics to do the metallics too. So it gives a really nice desaturated matte finish, but still gives you good color concentration on all of it. I like it. I like it. You have every listed paint in the brochure, including the washes, and the only individual paint you had to buy was Nova Orange. Droth, did you buy the Mega Paint set? The 69 paint set? It's not, we don't technically think of that as a set here, business-wise. Okay, if you bought the Mega set, you got the washes. That's how you got them. That's a set. It's you buy the Mega Paint set and you get all of those, because you know how you got it delivered. It was in all the individual sets and then a bag with 3 washes. Right? So technically you bought the 3 washes separate. They just came in what you thought was a set because it was a one-click buy. Yeah, for sure. But they didn't come in any of the boxes. They came in like a Ziploc bag, most likely. Will they be called special sauce paints? No. No. We just, chat keeps telling me we need a secret word here on stream. So, all right. All right. What is it? 8:20, 8:30? I can go till 9. I go to 9. Maybe. You know what I want to work on? This will piss Chris off. The flesh tones on this guy. You drove to Phoenix? Awesome. Hopefully they were nice to you when you picked it up. Travel Cedric, yes, they will come in sets. There will be, right now I'm looking at either 2 or 4 sets, and let me explain. You will either have a situation where we release, the first 12 will happen at Adepticon, right? And then after Adepticon, we will work on producing the stuff for the main release, right? And when we can determine how many we can get done for the main release, that's when I'll know what to tell you on the rest of that. I know that sounds weird, but in a perfect world, I would be able to, when it goes to public at retail stores and through the website availability to the public, that we would have it be 24 colors in the first set. You'll only be able to buy 12 of those at Adepticon. We know we can't commit to producing all 24 by Adepticon. We just don't have the bandwidth to do that, right? So we'll have to wait and see on that. But it may be that there's 4 12 paint sets. 4 sets with 12 colors in each to get to 48. Or there might be 2 with 24 in each once it finally gets to retail. Either way, if you come to Adepticon and get the early release of it, if we go and release 24 in the set when it goes to actual retail, we will have a bundle of the 12 that you'll be able to get in like one click, so that you don't have to, obviously you're not going to rebuy the set, but to just make it easy to complete it if we do release 24 after you buy the first 12 at Adepticon. Did any of that make any sense at all? I feel like I just confused myself, and I know what's going on. This is Dark Flesh. Ah, he's falling off. Don't fall off. So lack of detail where the shoulder hits the body. That's probably because I filled it in with super glue. I'm not blaming them, but that was where the sprue connector was, and it didn't really work well with the arm. So I just kind of have to wing it right there and assume that there's a little bit of a ledge of shirt or something up underneath. He's wearing gloves on both hands. Okay. But anyway, as you probably extrapolated from that, the pre-release will be at Adepticon. It will only be for Adepticon attendees. We may have the ability to send some to Europe at the same time for people who can't come to Adepticon over there, but we will not have it on the U.S. store for anybody at that time. I just can't stress the system like that to guarantee. Weirder things have happened that we might pull a miracle out and get it done, but I don't want to guarantee that for you. So it may be that we can surprise ourselves and produce enough for a wider release, but that's not the goal. That's not what I'm telling the production team and the product development team to shoot for. So they're making a plan for just enough to get us through Adepticon. And you know how that goes. Depending on Adepticon attendance, we typically sell out. When we release the signature colors, early release at Adepticon, we sold out and had to ship a bunch more up the second day of the show. This will not be that. We won't be doing that ever again. We will bring enough, and if they sell out, they sell out. If he dies, he dies. Now, I don't understand. Does he have a shirt or does he not have a shirt? I feel like maybe he doesn't have a shirt. Does he? I don't know what's going on with this guy. I have box art. Box art to the rescue. He does not have a shirt that's all body. Got it. Got it. It turns out people don't have ribs that show up that high, Parabellum. Let me just express that to you real quick. That didn't look anyway like it was supposed to be flesh right there. Maybe that's where they keep their spare ribs. I can zoom in on this one. Hang on. Now, do you leave a little of the undercolor showing when you put another layer on? Most times, yes. Times like this, if a little shows through, I'm not worried about it. It probably won't last through all of the layers of flesh that I'm going to do on top of this. But I wouldn't be mad if a little bit of the jade color was, you know, interspersed in the flesh. It wouldn't be the end of the world. That answered the question on whether or not the shoulder was supposed to be have anything on it. And I guess he just has overalls, or he just has like a suspender. I don't know what to do with this line that's there. Is that part of his body? I'm going to give him like a shirt. Like he's wearing a tank top or something, or a weird shirt, because the sculpt is kind of crazy on this guy. They might all be a little different. I don't know. Got a lot of honking armor covering stuff in the front, so I can see where the dividing lines are supposed to be. But on the back, there's a weird detail on the sculpt. It might be a mold line I didn't clean, but it looked prominent enough to treat as a design piece. I thought it was like a tank top. But that's when I didn't think this was skin. But yeah, to the previous question, when layering, I do try to leave some of the initial coat. Showing, if you watch my video over on YouTube called Just Do This, go to our Monument Hobbies YouTube channel, there'll be a video over there saying, just do this. And in that, I talk about that, right? The first layer of a color should be done thinly over the other bases that you've done to allow them, in a manner to allow them to show through. And then the second layer of that paint should draw back into a tighter area and be opaque, so that you get every color acting like two colors or more, because you'll get the blend with the base colors that turns into a third color, and then the opaque version of the color that you're using that gives you the final version of it. And then you put the next color on top of that, do the same thing. And so you can paint, like, with two colors become 3 or 4, 3 colors become 5 or 6. You exponentially get more out of less work when you paint that way. So always a good idea to get good at that. This is going to make me wish I hadn't painted the armor first, because his nose and stuff are visible. See if I can be steady enough to do all this in here. It's one of those rare times where you're trying to paint with the tip of the brush. So you can sneak paint into tight areas. Whereas normally I say don't paint with the tip of the brush, because it's a great way to mess your brush up. Brushes, believe it or not, were not made to paint with the tip. They were made to paint with the side of the barrel of the brush. Side of the tip, side of the barrel, not the tip. But you can. Just be delicate with it. Try not to destroy it. There you go. That's not too bad. I got the flesh in the mask. Huzzah! I like it. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It's like this raised area that looks like it should be cleaned now that I'm looking at it. Maybe that should have been cleaned. Because to me, it looks like a suspender or something. Can you guys see that? Can you see the little line that's formed there? That's a physical line. It would be a hell of a thing to clean off. But I also see the mold line coming out of it. I cleaned the mold line on it, scraped it down, and the mold line comes across the belt where you couldn't scrape it. So I'm wondering if this should be skinned too, and same at the back of the neck. It's strange because it has little folds in it like it should be a shirt. But it doesn't make sense as a shirt, right? Because it has no sleeves, and it is open on the side. So we're going to turn it into skin. We're going to leave little suspenders there, though, for whatever reason. Holds his pants up, that's why. Turn that bug into a feature. It's fine. Why is he staring at his butt anyway? Like this part up here has got wrinkles in it like a Shar-Pei. Maybe they're Shar-Pei dwarves. That thing? Not hair. It's a weird way to do skin, but I'm going to go with skin. You may do all the rest of them different. I don't know. That looks right. But now you can see that line better, right? Suspenders! There's not one over here because that's where the gun is. But it balances, so that's why I left it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That's it. There you go. Oh, but then I got to think that if that's shirt or not shirt, then this area on his chest also probably has to become skin in there, or no? There's a necklace. What am I looking at? I feel like if that's the case, then this down in here needs to be flesh too, and that's a bummer. It's not so bad. I can stand to get paint on his beard area. That's not going to be a big deal. I just don't want to get paint all over the armor if I can avoid it. Not too bad, but not great. Got a little out of the line there. Fix it in post. Right. A little messy on that one. All right, I'm thinking I want advanced flesh tone. Cut off t-shirts and they always curl up like that. Yeah. That's what I thought, is maybe like a shirt, but because it didn't have the... We didn't have a Chris here, did we? I see somebody talking about Chris. There's not a Chris in this chat, is there? I'll ban a Chris. Might be fat rolls. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chris, zoom in. Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah. Stan, I'm catching your question now. It says, if you've just done a dark bronze, green oxide wash, then dry brush of bronze and light bronze. I feel it needs one more color to make it pop. Can you suggest anything, or will it be pushing it? It's Angron's armor for reference. If you did the green oxide over the dark bronze, you should probably do the dark bronze, bronze, light bronze, green oxide, redo light bronze. I know it seems weird, but whenever you're doing a wash or filter, even a effect filter like an oxide, right, like the verdigris, I tend to want to take everything. You saw how I did the skin on the dragon, right? I did the skin up to highlight and then did the filter over it and then re-highlighted it with the last highlight I used, right? That helps a lot to give you depth and keep contrast on the model. When you do the green oxide on the dark base coat and then you dry brush everything over it, you desaturate the green oxide so it's not as visible and you lose some of that contrast. So if you do the dark color midtone and highlight, I always paint things like they're new with no problem. You know, no dirt, no effects. Bring them up to bright, then filter them down with the wash and the verdigris and everything you want to do, and then highlight back up. And just use either your last highlight or maybe a little bit of bronze, a little bit of bright bronze, however you determine you want to use it. That's my suggestion. I don't think you need another color because those colors work great together. You shouldn't need to change that. But you probably just need to change the order in which you do it so you maintain contrast, because that's probably, I can't guarantee that's where you're losing, but that sounds like, just straight off the top of my head, where you would be unhappy with that combo. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that made some sense to you there. So I'll mix the advanced flesh tone and the dark flesh together for phase 1, and we'll just start doing the tops of the muscles here. Just really rough shapes to begin with. Don't need to worry about blending much. Just put the paint on in a way that gets the color where you need it. Maybe feather the edge a little bit if you want, but you don't have to worry about it too much. These two colors together, dark flesh, advanced flesh tone, you can see very quickly where they work very, very well for a kind of South American, Middle Eastern type flesh tone. The dark flesh has enough red in it. The advanced flesh tone brings in enough of a yellowish brown flavor to give that sun-kissed middle dark tone skin. And you don't have to do much else other than that. You could literally just stop after this mix, or you could continue on with advanced flesh tone as more of a highlight to it if you need to have a little bit more brightness and contrast brought onto it. Depends on what you're trying to do. Very strange anatomy on these guys. Again, just treating this, the musculature is actually sculpted fairly proud on the model, meaning that the muscles stand out very nicely. So I can treat each one of these groups of muscles as its own little elliptical shape. It's kind of like painting a stone wall when you think about it, the way they've done these muscles. They're like little stones in a natural stone wall. And so just section them out to where you paint each one of the little stones with its own highlight, rather than painting the arm, right? I talk about this a lot. Don't paint an arm, paint all of the things that make the arm up so that you treat them all as their own individual areas needing highlight and contrast. If you just slap paint all over the arm, you might lose some of where the muscle shadow should go, things like that. So always be thinking about breaking it down into its own individual component parts. You want to try to do it in a way that doesn't leave the muscle looking like an island of skin, you know, bright skin tone floating in a sea of dark skin tone or anything. But you can glaze at the end, which we'll show you. I don't know if we'll get to it tonight, but whenever you get to see me paint again, Dallas is taking over the stream. Dallas Kemp from Atomic Mass Games, great painter, great friend. He will be here in the studio tomorrow. He's in Phoenix today. But he's going to meet us tomorrow in the studio. He's going to prime some models up. He's got a couple models to paint. I don't know what he's bringing. If he's bringing something cool and new from the studios over there, he'll surprise us. We'll see. I'll be jibber-jabbering over from the talkie table. And Chris will be doing the magic production thing that he does so well. And we will entertain you. Are you not entertained? Oh, am I a clown for your amusement? Now we'll jump into more of the advanced flesh tone, just adding less and less of the dark flesh into it as we go. And retreating the color to where it takes up less and less space. Right? You don't want to paint over everything you just painted. You want to bring it into a tighter area. And stipple a little as I go. Play with it. Have some fun. And imagine these guys having rough skin, working in the forges all the time, right? Just don't shy away from doing texture on skin. Those eyes are going to be a pain in the butt. But there's no way I'm painting the eyes before I paint the helmets. With the way this airbrushing turned out, I'm very happy with that. So it's just going to have to be tough. Tough luck, brother. You don't get eyes. Remember, again, I'm not blending. I'm just layering paint one color over the next. I'm just keeping my color mixes tight so that the color I'm using is not just a jump to the next color in the bottle. I'm mixing it, 50-50, 75-25 with the color before it so that my steps don't stand out as much. They need to have enough visibility so you know what you're painting and to be another color, but they shouldn't have to stand out and provide too much contrast. That's harder to work around. So just stage your color however you're comfortable and do as many layers as you want. Some people layer in 3 colors, some people in 5, 6, 10, whatever you feel like you need to do. The more colors you use to layer up, the smoother your final blend, quote unquote, blend will look like. It's not really a blend, but visually it is. We haven't actively blended any colors together. It'll look a lot smoother the more colors you use. Yeah, I think this was supposed to be like a shirt. I can't imagine these kind of weird folds being skin, but maybe so. Maybe so. The rest of the anatomy is a little odd, so who knows? Then just into advanced flesh tone by itself, like I talk about in my video, just make sure that your brush is a little wetter than you like to layer with normally for the first layer, so that as you spread it over the top, it doesn't give you a huge boost of brightness. It tends to now look like it's blending with the coats underneath. And now we'll just start kind of Stippling it in there. Like I said, I kind of imagine these guys as having a darker work in the forge kind of skin rather than pasty Underhill dwarves. But you could continue to go as bright and scale these colors as high as you want to, obviously. All up to you. Probably an argument to keep that area of muscle on his bicep fairly dark because of the shadow of the gun up above, but I don't want to do that. What's the fun in that? Then the second layer, second pass that we do with the color, we want to be more like right out of the bottle, right? You see our transition. Just by using these two colors, we get a bunch of color in between. Simple mixes. This will be a lot brighter. We want to be a little bit more deliberate with how we place it on the model. Small brush strokes. Let the brush stroke do the blend. Get a fine tip on your brush. That way you can get small amounts of paint on these muscle groups. On the top, I'm going to use more of a kind of a horizontal swipe as I go down into two little tornado shapes here. I keep the cleft of the muscle in between there. So that cleft doesn't exist in the sculpt. I'm just making it for fun. Remember we talk about brush control. Your brush technique here, stippling, hatching, whatever you want to do, can help with your blends and to give texture to the skin. If you want to make scratches, if you want to give him scarring, you could do that now. There's nothing on the sculpt. The sculpt's too small for that, really. Maybe not. I mean, it's not that it's too small. He's just got a lot of armor. He's got a lot of things that are detracting from their ability to do a whole lot of detail on the skin, I think. Adepticon Mule services for only 100% markup, Wad. What? I let chat go. I was wondering why nobody was talking. It's because I scrolled up and it stopped actually scrolling for me, so I apologize. Yeah, advanced flesh tone is any of the flesh tones can work great for skin highlights. They really do. Tan flesh, shadow flesh, got a lot of opportunity to use skin tones to highlight red, both cloth and hair and skin, and you name it. Can give you some really cool effects. T. Schmidt, definitely. It got me away from the video games and pushing pigment. Nice. I am always happy to help. I didn't want to play video games. That's the reason I'm here. I sat down at my desk and I was like, what am I going to do? I'm never home that early, right? Because I never leave the office that early. And we got done with our meeting around 5, like I said, maybe a little bit before. And so I'm sitting around the house. Jen's cleaning up from the meeting because we had all the people at our house today. And I was like, I never left the house. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll go in my office. Like I said, we had a big dinner, or I had a big lunch. So we weren't, the first thing she asked me, you going to be hungry again? I was like, not a chance. Lunch was huge. Probably not going to be interested in eating. So we weren't going to be cooking or do anything special, even going out and getting anything for dinner. We'd just be snacking. And so it left us at a point where it's like, well, I'm either going to sit here and figure out a video game I want to play, or I'm going to be bored doom scrolling through YouTube / Facebook, whatever, on my computer, or I'm going to catch up on the day's emails, which I probably should have done anyway, but I didn't. Nothing sounded like what I wanted to be doing. So here I am. I wanted to be doing this. I kept thinking about, I really want to continue my painting that I started yesterday. Really enjoying these models, right? Really wanted to see stuff like this. Like, okay, what's the skin going to look like up against that green armor? What's it going to look like if I create an orangey brown speed paint wash filter to go over the dragon? Is that going to look good like I think it does? And I think it looks great. So we got some good progress on that. I'm liking the skin tone here is working pretty well. Sometimes, I'm just sitting around going, yeah, you know what? I want to paint. And without I don't have a thing at home because most of what I'm wanting to be painting is what I'm painting on stream. And so I don't want to have to take stuff back and forth. I know we have the go bag. Everybody always says, but you make a perfect product for that. I get it. It doesn't mean that I want to pack things up every day, though, right? Because I have the perfect painting station here. It works great for me. I'm not really interested in having to pack it up every day, take it home, and then pack it up and remember to bring it back. Because the day I don't remember to bring it is the day where it's like, oh, I really wanted to paint that on stream, and I'm not going to go home and get it. You know the drill. So, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, we've run advanced flesh tone to its fullest opacity on that, right? So that's where we're at. So now we got to determine, I think I want to use tan flesh on the top of that, right? Beige red's a little bit too pink. I think tan flesh is our go-to. We'll mix that with, again, like I talked about, just do this. We'll mix this, or we'll do this as a thin glaze over the top of the advanced flesh tone. I tend to want to, with skin, mix it. So I'll take a little bit of the advanced flesh tone and pull it over here into my tan flesh to get a mix, a hybrid color that isn't quite as bright as tan flesh. Tan flesh is a very bright color. And then, do that one very thin. I say very thin, not quite as a true glaze, but enough water to where you don't add enough color to screw up what you've done, right? One of the things that I think scares people the most about blending, glazing, filtering, layering, all that stuff is that you're doing it after you've already spent a lot of time painting an area. So here I am painting this bright color on here, and it's like, what if I mess this up? All my other work is for nothing. So put that first layer on thin so it can't mess anything up. I mean, it could if you chose like the whole wrong color or you put it in the wrong place or something. I'm not going to act like it doesn't have any potential to mess stuff up. But by and large, it won't screw it up to the point to where you feel like you can't fix it. You won't have to repaint this whole area unless you really do something crazy. No, top college for wasted effort. Ooh, but nearly knock all the paint off the brush. I can come back here and do some glazing at the shoulder level, where I can kind of brighten up without having to over brighten the area. And kind of put this in through the dark spots that I've created if I need to brighten them up a bit, but that's looking pretty good. I like that. Be quick to do over a legion of these guys. And then we can go to a very watered down version of tan flesh. Just make a jump for highlights. You don't want to blend all the way to your highlights, just like anything that you want to put shine to. Remember, like non-metallic metal, at some point you got to make a jump. You need to make that jump with everything. It's just the jumping isn't as distant. You're not going from a dark color to a super bright color with skin, but you still want some shine. So just make sure it's not as abrupt, but you still want to put that bright color. You don't typically go in and edge highlight muscles because that's not, they have smoother transition in the anatomy than that. So you're probably not doing that. Put some brightness on there helps a lot. Glaze that through that cleft that I made, that dark cleft. So I drag that shadow down just a layer or two here at the top of the arm, so it doesn't wind up looking like there's a slash in his shoulder. Now we're looking pretty good. Ta-da, skin. 3 colors, easy. Just blend them. Blend them with layering. Makes things easy. Is this still the test model? Yeah, this is just a test model. But I'm liking it. I like it. Rat raid. Raid rat. Raid rat rat raid. What's going on, everybody? I don't have the alert set up, so I apologize. But thank you for the raid. Hello. We're about to end. We're about to end. We're doing a sneaky solo stream on a day where we weren't supposed to stream. Way later than we ever stream. Just because I wanted to do some more painting. So we are working on color schemes for the Dweg home for Conquest that I'll be painting up. So we did a little bit of work on the iron skin drake, ironclad drake. I think it's ironclad drake or something like that. Got the skin tone worked up to where I'm happy with it, and then we're doing some flesh tone in and amongst all of this kind of jade armor that I'm really enjoying. So there we go. I like it. Matthew Riceseeker, you didn't know we're on Twitch? Dude, the whole business started from this stream 10 years ago. This is year 10 for us on Twitch. So we have been here longer than damn near anybody. But yeah, glad you found us. Stan, how's the Conquest lore? I like it. It's been interesting to follow along with. I need to kind of probably read more of it direct from the company. I've been listening to like lore videos in the background at my at home, and I don't know if those guys are translating it well. Some of it doesn't make sense one video to the next. I'm like, well, this guy said this and this guy said this, but I'm picky like that. I just don't know where the lore is, if it's in the books or something. I don't have books. Hoofton, what's going on? Brew for Brew guys, good night from Goodyear. Goodyear, Arizona? Like right up the road? Well, good night. Halbernacht, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is our 10th year going into 2026. We started streaming painting in 2016. And have been going, the stream was all there was, and then we created the white paint live on stream one day, believe it or not. Now, nobody that was there knew what it would turn into, so it's like not a saved piece, but some people were there. Some people remember that day. One of the guy whose models I was painting for commission on that stream still pops into stream every now and then, Mathis. We were painting some Emperor's Children, Forge World Emperor's Children for 30K when it first came out back in 2016, late 2016. And we're struggling with white. Nobody's white paint works. And so we mixed up white paint and worked like a beauty. And everybody in chat said, oh, we want to buy that from you. So we started hand making white paint. That's where it all started. That was the beginning. We already made brushes. I guess that's not the beginning because we already made our brushes. We already made the Go Bag in its previous incarnation. And we made the brush soap, right? Jen's Drunken Brush Goop. And we had the MDF laser cut organization racks for your desk to hold your paints and stuff in. But they were all sized for what is now our competition's paints because Procurl didn't exist. And that momentous day on stream where we made white paint. And then it all went haywire from there. So, lots of fun. I remember when you first streamed to fill some Spiky Bits time. Hoofed? What? To fill Spiky Bits time? When we started streaming, we didn't know Rob from Spiky Bits. Spiky Bits joined on with Kenny and I after a while. Rob never streamed, and then he started streaming, and then he stopped pretty quick after. But Kenny from Next Level Painting and I spoke because we were some of the few people painting. There were like, I don't know, half dozen, 10 of us painting on Twitch at the time. And we all kind of talked with one another, and it started growing. And who was the other guy? I forget what the other guy's name was. Kenny and I got in league with this other guy from the States and created a deal where we would raid into each other, because back then the way you had to host, there weren't raids, you had to host people. And so we would host each other and drive our community to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And then Rob came into that later on. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. No, it wasn't Duff. Duff wasn't around back. He was a viewer. A lot of the people that stream now were viewers of mine and Kenny's back in the day. Of the charity death guards, I know, right? It was like we never really thought about the VODs back in the day and what we should be doing to make sure that all of that was still around and good. Mike Cho, Mo, that's what it was. Mike Cho, you're right. You're not a real painter unless you spilled a bottle of Agrex Earthshade. I've never spilled a bottle of paint on my desk. You used to just be, and you were adopted by me? I didn't adopt you. Mo, yeah, Mike. I mean, we all had different personalities, right? We were all kind of finding our vibe at that time. I had come from streaming longer than everybody else because I had been streaming video games. I had streamed competitive MOBAs and all that kind of stuff for years, and had just kind of lost my sauce. I was doing MWO and World of Tanks and just kind of hated them. I just hated it. Right, the matchmaking sucked on both of them because the games are kind of in that stage of floundering. And I just didn't like it. So I was like, I'm going to take some time off. I did it when my mom she did both knees surgery at the same time. Knee replacement surgery on both knees at the same time. And so I flew up to take care of my mom in Colorado. And I told Jen, I was like, by the time I get back, I'm going to decide what I'm going to do. I said, I'm kind of thinking about painting. So I'm going to take some models up there and paint and build. So I built some Infinity models and painted them when I was up at my mom's. And then I was like searching around and I found some painters on Eurotime painting. And was like, oh, I can do this. I already have a community. The community's probably going to bail, and they did. A lot of people didn't want to watch me paint. They wanted to watch me curse at video games, but it was a lot of fun. And here we are. Look at that. After all these years, streaming at 9:15 on a Tuesday. Hoofton, you have Jen's signature on your wall? That's awesome. Doth says, I don't even own Agrax. That's why I'll never be a real painter. Oh, sad face. Sad face. Oh, yeah. The other day I shook a paint with an open lid and nearly got it all over the model we were working on. Oh, we were working on the frameable, right? We were working on the Duchess. So we just got done doing the Duchess, one of our new texture trainer framables. And it's a hand poured, for those of you who don't know, we make these hand poured resin sculpts that go in 4x6 frames. We were painting her up, and I shook a bottle, and it went right in a line next to her. It didn't get anything on her. I was like, what? Yeah, that can be brutal. Not going to lie. Got to be careful with that. You got to be careful. Droth, yeah, they're 4x6. They go in 4x6 frames. They're large. Very large. 4x6 are in centimeters. I think it's 10 by 15. Is that, am I right? 4x6 inches is like 10 by 15. I think in Europe they say 10 by 15 centimeter frame, right? It's your standard picture frame, small picture frame. Yeah, I always go back and check to make sure they're closed. I say always. Obviously not always, but most of the time I check to see that they're closed, and it works very well. Sometimes it does not. To show you, I had showed putting the glaze wash medium over the powdered pigments, and you can see now that the glaze wash medium has dried that the pigment has been fixed onto the surface now, right? So you see that you still get the powdery look on the bottom. We're releasing weathering pigments is where that came from. As a plumber, spilling purple primer because that damn glue, man, that damn PVC glue, right? Or ABS glue, whatever the purple is, it's PVC, right? Holy crap, that stuff is brutal. I have more fun plumbing with copper. I prefer brazing copper. I do not like working with plastic. I get that damn glue all over the place. It's horrible. Droth, yeah, the ogre one's amazing. Amazing. Pop chicken! I'm enjoying these. The models are cool. I've been watching a lot of videos on Conquest. You know, I'm just painting them fast. You know, all this is just airbrush and dry brush. Same with this. Airbrush and dry brush. We did use the secret sauce, the upcoming Monument speed paints to get the flesh tone right. But yeah, it works like a champ. Works like a champ. I'm really liking the jade. I'm going to have fun highlighting the jade. We got to figure out what metallics we're going to use to do and how we're going to do the metallics for all the trim. I think that's going to be one of those things that needs to get figured out here pretty soon to say how is the armor going to come alive with the metallics so that they are not too yellow. I want them to be kind of a bronze, but not too dull, not too yellow. Somewhere in between. Make them dirty. Spare monk, brazing and soldering is your favorite part of the job. Me too, man. If I have to do plumbing, I'm like, can I deal with the metal stuff and somebody else does the plastic? Plastic's easier for me to get the shape I need. It works. I don't like bending the metal, and doing joints on metal all the time. But how do you pop a chicken? No, that's how it sounds when you pop a chicken. I didn't have my hey Chris, and he goes, oh. That's what it sounds like when you pop a chicken. Droth, Ogre, they're all on our website. We are monumenthobbies.com. And so if you go to monumenthobbies.com, you can see all of the texture trainer framables. This is one that I started throwing paint on at one of the European shows, right? So dumping a background on it. And they're all hand poured. Right. This is one of the early 3D test prints. So this one's 3D printed. You will get a hand poured resin one. Do I have a hand poured resin one here? Yeah. So here's another one of the Duchess that's just been zenithal primed. But these are all hand poured resins. You can see it's been hand poured. But we hand pour these in house. We manufacture them here. It's all artwork designed by myself and Riccardo Mascioli, and then sculpted and done by Francesco Oru. So as a team, we've created some really cool stuff. And the nice thing is that you can paint them up however you want. You do the backgrounds, not do the backgrounds. We've been playing around showing everybody the kind of cool stuff. We've got the Duchess, which here. They're all Victorian poses with crazy fantasy characters. The two-headed troll or ogre or Eton, right? In generals, kind of Napoleonics or George Washington looking. And then we have Serviath, the Knight of Hooks, right? Who is in armor and I painted him to be underwater with the bubbles and all that stuff. So just having fun. They're just great ways that you can play and do stuff. And then, of course, they go in a frame. So what better way than to have your artwork go where you go? You can put it on your desk or give it to a friend, hang it on your wall, right? And bingo, they're fantastic. So and we have more coming out. The next, we're releasing them in 3s. The next 3 are, the artwork is done by Adrian Smith from Warhammer fame. So lots of fun. Good stuffs. I like my dragon and my dwarf. Yeah, and we kept them very affordable. They're $40. Ta-da! They're big, chunky, weighty miniatures. I say miniatures. They're bigatures, and they're $40. You can put them in a cheap old frame that you get at the thrift store and turn your miniature into a really cool piece of artwork really quick. Tech Elf, I can't wait to see him. I can't wait for everybody's to get done. Vince is going to be painting up the Duchess in an upcoming video, and I'm stoked to see what he does with it. He was so stoked on her. He loves it, the model. So when Vince loves a model and then paints a model, it should be really fun. So he'll be doing his own version of the Duchess. He'll probably blow mine away. It'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, they're like a texture trainer on steroids. They have nice big open areas to practice your brush control, paint textures, play with light. They're not overly detailed, so that you can get very painterly with them if you want, or you can be very simple with them if you want. They'll look great either way. That was my goal, just like the texture trainers. Don't overload them with detail. Don't make too many tchotchkes and doohickeys on them, so you got to spend a ton of time. You can paint them as quick or as slow as you want. You know, we have a lot of people that have already been talking about just spraying the framables in like metallic paint, you know, just spray it with Kryon gold and then put it in a gold frame. And now you've got the I love gold, and you can hang it on the wall for a cool piece of art, because they're meant to be art after you're done. So what you turn them into is up to you. You can just do them zenithal primed and put them in a black frame. They look amazing with just a simple zenithal prime on them. They just become lifestyle things that can hang around your house. You don't have to spend a lot of time painting them. You know, it'll be a very inexpensive piece of really awesome artwork on your walls, regardless of what you do. They're really cool. Really, really cool. They're really, really awkwardish. Nice. I'm excited to see what you do with her. All right, gang, I'm done. It's 9:30, past my bedtime. I'm like 1,000,000 years old. How did you keep me up so late? This is elder abuse. So, Papa Chicken, yeah. I love them all. I love them all. Draw, thank you. That's awesome. Draw's like, screw it, I'm buying all 3. Thank you so much, everybody, for turning out. It's great to see you late on a Tuesday. I know it's very late for our European crowd, and I really am happy that you guys chose to spend some time with me tonight. I'm glad I could sneak in under here. Don't tell Chris. Right, don't tell Chris. Yeah, Dallas Kemp, remember tomorrow, Dallas Kemp from Atomic Mass Games will be here in the studio. He'll be standing right here painting at my desk. That bastard is going to steal my show. I'll be over at the talkie spot, and I'll be telling bad jokes all day. I might have some models to build. We'll see. I might be over there sticking knives in my fingers and yelling and needing Band-Aids. Well, Dallas stands up here and paints, and Chris sits over there and shakes his head at the wonderment of it all. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. There's no links to follow. Just go to monumenthobbies.com, buy some hobby supplies, right? Keep Cora in dog food, right? Keep our dogs with food and the lights on around the office. Thank you so much for all your support, and have a wonderful night. I'm going to hit the stop button. Go visit another channel. I don't have a producer, so I can't really rate anybody. So there you go. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much for hanging out. Hit the follow button if it's your first time here. We'd love to see you back. Remember, we do this normally 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard, Monument Standard Time here in Phoenix, Arizona. We'd love to see you back. We do this Monday through Friday all the time. Great time answering questions, beginners, advanced, pros. We've got stuff that can help everybody. We'd love to see you back. So enjoy the rest of your evening or beginning of your Wednesday, and we will catch you back here tomorrow or later today, whatever it is.